Welcome back to another episode of Footy with the Boys. We have Mike here. Mike, how are we doing today?
Doing well, man, as always.
Nice. Any kit on today?
Yeah, I'm wearing a Manchester United Eric Ten Hag kit today, um, all black
Oh,
because
wow. Match worn. I see.
it
Match worn.
is it is his funeral.
Yeah. Nick, you do have a kit on. How are we doing today? And what's the kit there? Is that a little Colombia?
A little Columbia warm-up jersey, get a little something going.
Definitely
But
something.
yeah, chilling, bro. Sad with the result, but we'll get into it.
We will be getting into it because that's one of the first things we want to talk about is we did have a very entertaining day of Champions League with some upsets, some big results for a bunch of different teams. The first of which Nick referenced there, the mighty Arsenal playing Lens from the Ligue 1,
Long.
and it ends 2-1. But that does not depict all the suffering Arsenal has, as Bukayo Saka also went off injured in this game. Nick, as the Gunners fan here, take it away.
Yeah, so I was teaching a room full of 13-year-olds as this game was going, so I was sneaking peeks at my phone trying to catch some video. But I just saw Arsenal passing to each other, so didn't watch too much. Did watch like the 30 minutes after when I got home, the little highlight thing. Yeah, shit result. I think I would like to step out. I'd like to apologize to Lens. I feel like I overlooked them, and I think Arsenal might have done the same.
Who else would
But
you like
away
to
Champions
apologize
League.
to?
What's that?
Who else would you like to apologize to? Who maybe somebody who would have said this group was going to be a hard one?
No, I don't think it's that. A couple years ago, we went to back in the day when we were in the Champions League every year. We went to like Zagreb and lost points. Away Champions League games are always difficult. Lens played very well. Shout out to them. Their keeper is a good player, dude. He was probably the man of the match. And yeah, but outside of that, like Arsenal were wasteful. I honestly, the result is kind of like I still feel really confident winning this group pretty easily. Specifically with a tie between an exciting tie, but a tie between Sevilla and PSV elsewhere. Um, but yeah, it sucks that the real takeaway is Saka's injury. We talked about how Arteta's been overusing him, how it was like he's dying, but then just lacing him up every single game. So fingers crossed, praying that it's a repeat of last week and he doesn't train and he's back for the big Man City game in the weekend. But yeah, Arsenal was wasteful. We've said it a couple times this year. They're not finishing their chances, and credit to Lens because they did. So sucks. I still feel good about the group, and I mean, all good vibes from the podcast headed Saka's way. Hopefully he comes back because let me tell you, we're gonna need him this weekend.
Mike, regarding Saka, is there maybe some doubt creeping into your mind that Arteta is the best health manager, knock manager, because he's just playing Bukayo Saka knock after knock, and it looks like it's continually kind of rolling and rolling into more knocks. Is there a room for concern there for Arsenal fans?
Yeah, but I wouldn't, panic about it. He's a young manager. He's still learning when to rotate players, when to be more forceful. Because I mean, at the end of the day, it does come down to the players as well, knowing how fit they are. And Saka's a young player, so he's going to want to play all the games. Um, as Mikel matures as a manager, he might become more confident to tell Saka, hey, you're not playing this game or you're not starting this game. Maybe I'll give you 20 minutes at the end to come off the bench and make an impact. Um, I don't know how major the injury was. It didn't look like there was a contact
I
related to
kind of
it.
looked it up.
They said
Okay,
so
doesn't look good.
they did say Arteta said after it doesn't look good, but he said that the same thing last weekend. So like I
Getting in the
do
head
not
of
trust
Pep, maybe.
Arteta. Yeah, I don't trust Arteta when it comes to injuries. But he did like go down. There wasn't that much contact, and so like I think they might have told him before the game, like, hey, if you feel anything, just go down.
Yeah,
That at least that's what I'm trying to tell myself. Like fingers crossed that he's back this
little
weekend.
precaution.
Yeah.
Knock on wood.
But Arteta, I do think Arteta has like a very strong, like, he's going to go with his guys, like Party coming back last year for the North London Derby right from injury just to get injured again. Like, he's going to go with his best 11. If they say they're fit to go, they're fit to go. And, I think it's a little foolish sometimes. I think you're right, Flags. Like, he's got to protect his players a little bit more. But I will say I don't have a problem with him starting this game. I think a lot of people were like, "Oh, it's Lens, rotate the side." Away Champions League games like aren't. I think I said that on Sunday too, but I've changed my tune. Away Champions League games are fucking. They're your best players play, especially match week 2. Nothing's locked up yet. So if the physio and if Saka says they're ready to go, I don't blame Arteta for playing him. And at least he didn't leave him on for another fucking half like he has been. So. We'll see. We'll see. Fingers crossed. The result sucks. But still feeling pretty good about this weekend, hopefully. And still feeling good about the group.
Playing away is hard, and the atmosphere at Lens looked
Oh, dude, it's
insane.
fire. Oh my
The fans
God.
were loving it. They celebrated the
Sick.
final whistle like they won the Champions League. I mean, it's their first
And that's a huge result
win
for
on
them.
home turf in 20 something years since the 90s, I believe. So, yeah, great win for them. Not a whole lot of chances, but they finished the ones they got, and they were
Mhm.
actually some pretty goals to watch.
For sure.
I think it's
Arsenal.
huge for Lens because Sevilla and PSV drew. So you're kind of looking at the other two teams in the group dropping points, and you picking up a huge win that you weren't expected to. For Lens, they are absolutely buzzing right now. For Arsenal, I think what Nick said is true that it probably won't matter in the long run because Arsenal, I just think, has the major talent gap here. But for Lens competing for that second spot, that's a huge result for them. I think it's more of a big reaction for all the Lens fans rather than Arsenal.
Yeah, I will say last thing before we can move on to the Man U game because I'm buzzing for that. But Arsenal. I saw a lot of overreaction on Twitter, like people saying like, "Oh, they were shit," like all this, all that. I actually didn't think we played that bad. It was just bad finishing, wasteful finishing. I'm sick of seeing Havertz getting scapegoated. I actually thought he was one of the better players today. If I'm going to call anyone out, I think Trossard and Odegaard were the two players that played poorly today. Jesus took his goal well. Saka, once again, with an assist. Plays 30 minutes, he's still getting on the score sheet. So, like, people like Tomiyasu, people like Trossard should have finished their chances. But of the actual players that played poorly, I just think Trossard and Odegaard weren't on it today. Shout out to Smith Rowe, baby. Once again, looking well off the bench. We're cooking something. We're cooking something.
Cooking with the homegrowns.
Mm-hmm.
But Arsenal was not the only team to lose from England, and as much as this might have brought your day down, Nick, there was something to bring your day right back up. It
Like
was
there always is.
Manchester United, Galatasaray. Manchester United loses at home. We were all saying that this would be a tough matchup. They're not in good form, and
Is this that
Galatasaray
Turkish
has
team
made
that
some
you
good
guys knew nothing about?
We know them. Shut
Uh,
the fuck up.
We just don't
they
watch
weren't in
Turkish
good
league.
form. Yeah, but they've made some good signings, and it paid off. I saw somebody say that Old Trafford is such a hard place to play that not even Manchester United can do it. Mike, what is your reactions to Manchester United 2, Galatasaray 3?
A lot of reactions, man. What an awesome result. If you're a Turkish fan, and the Turkish fans were going crazy at Old Trafford. I
Dude,
saw
they
a
were
lot of
louder than the British fans,
The
bro.
Turkish fans are the absolute best.
big men with their shirts off. That's what I saw. Um, so bad. It's so comical for Manchester United. Everything that's gone wrong this season continued to go wrong. Credit to Højlund, finally played well and got 2 goals, but it really didn't matter because Man U's backline is so leaky that as soon as he scored, it was like, oh, we're going to concede again.
And
Arambach,
Galatasaray missed a penalty.
yeah, and Icardi missed a penalty, which Onana caused with a shit pass out of the back. He's just been error prone, mistake after mistake, and I know I defended him a few weeks ago. I still think he is a good goalkeeper under all this bullshit, but terrible pass causes Casemiro to get a red card because he's forced into a last ditch tackle. Icardi misses the pen like a goon, but then a couple minutes later, He gets in on
Chips him.
goal, and guess what Onana does? Onana lays down again and gets dinked over. Not even that incredible of a finish, I don't believe.
No.
Um, the worst thing I saw from Manchester United was that back line. Arambot playing at left back was often the deepest man on the field, and the two
Why?
center backs and
Why
Dallow at
so
right back
close?
were 10, 15 yards ahead of him, just giving themselves an offside like trap, letting Galatasaray just have dudes sit there. And that's how we saw the third goal with Mauro Cardi. Terrible, terrible performance from Manchester United.
Nick, how happy did this result make you?
Yeah, I mean, like, okay, I think there's two teams in British football that when they lose, like, the world like piles them on. I think it's Arsenal, but then I think Man U has it worse, and so it's nice
Well, I
when
think it's
Arsenal
Man U and
loses.
Chelsea.
No, I don't think it's Chelsea that much. Like, that's just oil money. Like we're
No one
just
cares
piling on
about
Chelsea
Chelsea.
now because of $1 billion. Like, if it wasn't because of that, I really wouldn't give a shit about Chelsea. Um, you can argue Liverpool as well. People shit on Liverpool a lot. But yeah, no, I think it's nice to have him lose the same day we lose. I'm not gonna get too mad at the Amrabat thing. It's not his position, forced there through injury. Like, what more can you really do? But
Yeah,
still, you're right. Like 15 yards is like you just have to look across the line, homie. Get up there.
Do we
Um,
blame him? He's not a left back.
I
I
know,
don't
but
blame
you
I
can
think
him.
that's
see the
Eric Ten
line.
Hag.
He shouldn't be playing there.
Yeah, yeah, he just
But
shouldn't be
again,
being played there.
I can't blame Ten Hag for doing that when like all of his left back options are injured. Do you know what I mean? So like,
Play a center
what?
back at left back. Like, get creative, man. Don't do that.
I mean, what center Lindelof? He's gonna get burned every single time. Like, I don't know. I, I'm
Giant.
not. I'm not gonna get too hard there. What I will say though is that people have been blowing Diego Dallo. He got manhandled by Wilfred Zaha on the first goal. Onana did poorly on that one, by the way. Onana getting chipped, horrible. I actually don't hate Eric Ten Hag continuing to back his man, but he looks dog shit. Like he is not doing anything well. You're 100% right, Tracy. He got chipped from like unnecessary rushing out, unnecessary like diving at the wrong moment. Like, it was a poor goal. The pass that got Casemiro sent off, which by the way means he's gone the next Champions League game. Like, after being Man U's best player for a little bit. Mason Mount trying to create from deep, can't really do anything.
He played
Bruno
okay, but
Fernandez.
no
Yeah,
impact.
it was honestly, I don't want to shit on Mount too much, but I don't know, man. You're right. Good for Hoyland. He also got another goal taken away from him, although he was offside, so that's fair. Um, yeah, yeah. Oxford Man U.
Oh,
They're playing Brentford this weekend. We'll get into it later. I like Brentford. I have zero faith in this team. These last 2 weeks, I've been picking them to win because I'm like, come on, it's Man U. Like, they're gonna turn it around at some point. All of that is gone now. Even when things go decently well with Hoyland getting a brace, I don't see them getting results that are like even a little bit contentious.
Yeah,
well
Man
said.
U losing this, like it was fun joking around about how they would just lose to anybody, kind of like a Chelsea type laugh. But Man U is just really actually in shambles now. Like as much as we talk about, oh, maybe Eric Ten Hag should be sacked and how much pressure is he under, how much more pressure could he possibly be having? If he loses versus Brentford, you've looked terrible for 4 different matches. You have all your players in, you've lost the fans. Sounds like he's starting to lose the locker room. I'm not sure how much further he can go, but I also do think it's the Glazers as the owners. Who knows if they want to try and fix this mess when they're potentially looking to sell it and have all these big offers. Might want continuity, but that's Manchester United at the moment. Big game this weekend makes the preview a little bit more fun to go for. But we'll get started over into our previews of the week for the Premier League, and we're gonna start with probably the second best, but most other weeks would be the best matchup. It is Brighton versus Liverpool. Mike, this is your featured game. Take us away.
It is. Liverpool obviously coming off a controversial loss, with losing two players as well. Jota
I
won't.
forgot about that.
Yeah, Jota won't feature. I wouldn't expect him to start necessarily anyway. He hasn't been starting most of these games. Um, and Curtis Jones also. So not like crucial losses, I would say. Those guys aren't certified starters most of the time, but definitely impacts your rotation.
We'll see their
Um,
depth.
and then Brighton coming off a fucking whooping from Aston Villa, a 6-1. Um, I this game's interesting. I don't expect another thrashing. I don't think Liverpool will do to Brighton what Aston Villa did. I think Brighton will bounce back and put up a much more respectable performance. I think Liverpool will be angry about what happened this past weekend. I expect them to come out guns blazing. Klopp will have the guys fired up. I think Trent Alexander-Arnold will be back for this game. He's missed a few from injury, so we'll see him at right back. Pretty standard lineup, I think, across the back, through the midfield and up top. I expect Darwin Núñez to probably start in the middle. I think Liverpool will probably win 2-0, 2-1. I think it'll be close. Uh, but yeah, I don't expect Brighton to be able to win this one.
Yeah, I think this game has huge implications because if you just look at the table and where they're both very high, but just at that place on the table, Palmer, if you can scroll down to that, like look at all the points totals right around them, and you have a lot of big matchups right around that area this week that top seven, top eight is going to be scrambled around quite a bit, and I think it's going to kind of determine a lot of where we see teams finishing and kind of see what their real quality is this weekend. So I'm very excited for this one. Nick, what about you?
Yeah, I think you kind of nailed it. I think this week there's a lot of games of like we're gonna figure out who teams are. We're 7 games in, eighth game, like we're starting to get a little bit of a sense. Maybe not Newcastle or Brighton because like they're I can't or Aston Villa like I can never figure out what those three teams are. Although I have more faith in Newcastle, but yeah, I agree. I actually like Brighton to tie this game. I think they're gonna be pissed. I like a draw here. Um, these teams honestly kind of remind me of each other quite a bit. I guess like Liverpool is a little bit more direct, and Brighton is also direct, but they can build out of the back, I think, better than Liverpool does. So I obviously Liverpool are more dangerous on the attack. But I mean they just got like fucked. Like 6 goals put past them these past weekend. I like them to bounce back strong. But Liverpool's gonna play pissed off too, so it's a tough one to
Yeah,
call. I like goals this weekend. I think a lot of us do in this game. I think a draw 2-2 is what I'm settling on.
this is
I would
going to
like
be
that.
just a hell of a must-watch TV, I would say.
I'd
And
agree, yeah.
another good game that, like we were talking about, high up on that table, seeing what happens, is West Ham versus Newcastle. If you said at the start of the season West Ham Newcastle is going to be a extremely exciting top of the table matchup, I'd probably be very confused how the hell West Ham was going to be there because they were fighting off relegation tooth and nail last year. This year, I think this could be a statement game for them. They've played very well for the start of the season. Obviously, we're only 7 games in, but if you beat Newcastle here, Newcastle hasn't looked invincible by any means, haven't looked like they're on their last year form. I think this is a huge statement. Nick, if West Ham beats Newcastle, do we need to start putting them in that Brighton conversation where it is a continued success of a non-top six team?
I think 100%. Yes. I think West Ham's happy to have this game in London instead of at St. James. I think that's a big like boon for them. That's going to help them out a lot. And I already honestly kind of like West Ham in that area, the Aston Villa Brighton area. I think they're like maybe right below them at the moment. But you beat a Newcastle, which I mean hasn't started the season great, but they've picked up form recently a little bit, starting to put some goals in, starting to win some games. Even though I mean the 8-0 is what everyone remembers, but a solid 2-0 win. Business as usual last weekend. So I would argue West Ham's playing the better ball. I and I don't know. This one's really hard for me to call. There's a lot of tight matchups this weekend. Um, I think I do like I think I do like West Ham, even though I like Newcastle better as a team. But I don't know. There's something about the way they're playing, and specifically Jared Bowen is on fucking fire. Michael Antonio is always going to do his thing. Yeah, I like West Ham at home in this game. I think I'm going to go 2-1, and I think it's going to put a lot of those like top 8 teams kind of on alert that West Ham can compete this year for a European spot.
Mike, do you feel the same way, or do you still
Yeah,
think they
I
have more
mean,
to prove?
I think West Ham's kind of already legit. I believe it. If they get a result, it proves it even more so.
Hmm.
Um, I think Newcastle wins this game if they have their shooting boots on. That's kind of been their story this year. If they're able to find the goal, because they get chances every game,
Yeah,
um, they'll win it. The defensively, they're pretty strong. I think West Ham will hit them on a counter. I think that's the way they'd be able to score. They've had some
peace.
beautiful counters this year. They play a ball up, and they have that target man, Mikhail. He's a bull. Um, and Jared Bowen linking up with him well. James Ward-Prowse has been phenomenal in the midfield. So it, it'll depend. If Newcastle really can't finish, if they're off, I think West Ham will win this game based on that counter. I think they could get 2 on them. If not, I think Newcastle will take it away. So I'll say 3-2. I'll bet on Newcastle being able to finish
Yeah.
against West Ham. I'm expecting a lot of
I
goals.
like it. Another very good game, I would say. Another one that should definitely keep an eye on for some good football there. But probably the best football, not probably, but almost most certainly will be the two giants of the Premier League over the last year and a half. Arsenal, Man City, the fight for the pole position in the Premier League this weekend. Potentially no Saka. We already confirmed it's no KDB, no Rodri. Mike, can Arsenal finally topple Manchester City? Or do you think Man City starts to pull a few more points away from Arsenal in the title fight?
This was so tight to call. I think Arsenal certainly can beat them. That definitely is a strong possibility. They're talented enough. The players they have are at City's level or just below. I can think of a few guys in Arsenal's starting 11, their best 11, who fit into City. And I don't know if I could say that last year as confidently. Um, if Saka's out, that's a huge loss. They lose their main man up top, essentially, a lot of their creation up top. City is such a beast. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a draw here and a low scoring draw at that. I won't put a number out there.
Nick, what's your confidence meter at?
Listen, man, this is it. That like we're 7 games into the season. We've been it's felt like a warm up for a lot of teams. Like we're trying to find our form, trying to get this new season started. But there is no better opportunity to beat this City team without their 2 best players, in my opinion, and that's with calling Erling Haaland a world class striker. But I just think De Bruyne and Rodri are insane. And you know, it feels like if it's not now, then when? Like at least for the Premier League race this year, it's at home. Like their best players are out. We have been building like specifically to play against them. My confidence level is based on the lineup because if Eddie Nketiah is starting this game, it's not happening. Okay, it's just simply not. He can't deal with it. Not for a full 90, and if he starts, Mikel's gonna give him 90 because he's a fucking psychopath. I really, really, really like how, and I know it's preseason or whatever, but the Community Shield was hotly contested by both teams. Both those teams wanted it bad. Strongest 11s for both of them. De Bruyne played coming off an injury. Like both those teams wanted it. And our lineup with the midfield of Party, Rice, and Odegaard, and Havertz at the 9 to play a little more long against their press, I think that tactically it was the right call, and I think that's the right way to go for this game as well. Big difference, Zinchenko instead of Timber. I like Timber better. He's stronger defensively. They both invert well. So it's going to be interesting to see there. Although, again, City out in the wide areas hasn't looked incredible this year. I don't know if it worries me as much as it did last year with a guy like Mahrez out there. But I'm telling you, like, if we're not able to get this result, I can't keep convincing myself that this is the year that Arsenal does it. I just can't. Even if we end up with a 5 point lead at Christmas, results go our way, City drops form, it's just gonna give me the same thing's gonna happen again as last year. They're gonna pick up form, we're gonna choke, and we're fucked. This is the game. It proves your mettle. The Spurs game, obviously, Derby, we did not play well. But we've proven that we're a better team than Spurs, and we're at a different stage, like in the project than they are. This game is what it's all about. Same with Man U, like good win, but they're in the shitter right now. Like this is the game that is telling me what Arsenal is this year. I like Havertz at the 9 at this one to deal with the long balls and Party's back to have that Party, Rice, and Odegaard in midfield. I think that's enough to get it done. I like Arsenal here 2-1. If it's a bad lineup, I think it's a 1-1 draw. And I think Trace is right. The goals aren't going to be like this is going to be a tactical game where like neither team is going to give an inch. And so
These
I
are chess
don't like
grandmasters, man. That's what it
exactly,
is.
bro. This is you fucking
And
nailed it.
both
This is
know
a
each
chess
other
match.
very well.
Yeah, and they
I do
resemble each other. Arteta learned from him. It's a big fucking game, and I'm backing the boys 2-1 to the Gunners.
I love it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very hotly contested, low scoring. In that case, I don't think Havertz is necessarily the greatest. I do think he is not as shit as I like to say, just to joke around, but he is very wasteful with his chances. And I don't think him at the striker, when you probably won't have as many chances on either side, you don't want Havertz being compared to a Holland being the two men up top who have to put away your limited chances. But I do, yeah, I think that midfield that you guys will have with that Rice, Party, and Odegaard should be able to control the game against a Nunez, Kovacic type of midfield. Obviously, KDB and Rodri out. Massive, massive loss for Man City. And hopefully Saka can be back for Arsenal. I think what you
Look,
said about
here's the thing. I
go
think
ahead.
that I'm gonna fucking assume Saka's playing until they tell me he's not, because that's just been the vibe with the kid. But even if he doesn't, I like Jesus on the left if he does play with Martinelli still out, and then I'm fine Trossard starting on the left, put Jesus on the right if Saka isn't playing. I think we need Havertz at the 9, not for finishing, but for like the long balls, because no matter who's in there for City, their press is nuts. And so, like, they're going to keep going for all 90, and it gives us a different outlet, something different to look at, and then our midfield can start running into it. Remember, most of Arsenal's goals, even with our best striker, Jesus at the 9, he's like, he's still like a 10, max, like 15 a year goal scorer kind of guy. He's creating chaos. Most of Arsenal's goals comes from really good team play and like a good ball from out wide or a midfield goal. Um, I I don't mind. I'm okay to sacrifice Havertz, who has I think he's been playing well, but no one can deny that his finishing has been off as of late, which is why everyone keeps shitting on him. Even though he had a great chance today, a great save by the keeper. Um, I like him. I like him to beat Man City's press.
I was not aware Thomas Party is back. That's huge.
Yeah,
I think
bro. They
since
said they were
his
gonna give him
back,
a little time today.
okay. Did he end up playing today?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. If he starts in that midfield, that is, I would say, a game changer. I think he'll maybe not completely, but definitely help nullify Julian Alvarez, who's going to be, I think, the main threat in
I
that
agree.
advanced midfield, picking passes, finding longer shots,
I
um,
agree.
trying to link up with Holland. So having Thomas Party back, that would be huge.
Already full training this week.
Okay.
Big time. Big time matchup. And like you said, it would be very nice for Arsenal to be playing from the front when you go into a month like December rather than playing catch up. Because playing catch up versus Man City does not tend to work out for those chasing. But speaking of things that do not work out, we already talked about Manchester United. And the big matchup this weekend. It is sad to say their big matchup is against Brentford, but this really is no jokes. Even not even laughing. This is a huge matchup for Manchester United. Brentford has not been a bad team this season. They haven't been outstanding or stellar, but neither has Manchester United. And I think this is a game that they very desperately need a good result, and not just a good result like a 1-0 they had versus Burnley, but I think they need to convince their fans not to go nuclear on them because they have not played well even when they've gotten good results. Mike, if they lose this game, where does that leave Manchester United?
Probably in like 13th place. I think that's where it leaves them. I mean, no, all jokes aside, you can't lose this game. Brentford's won one game this year. You're right, they haven't been like horrible, but they haven't been Brentford of last season even. Everton beat this team. Let's remember this. And Everton has been less than impressive. This type of matchup makes me think that I don't know ball. Because I really couldn't call it. Manchester United is shit. That's right. They beat Burnley on the weekend, yeah, as they should, and they win 1-0. Like that is the bare minimum. That's the definition of the bare minimum. Um, they should win this game. Yeah. But I'm not convinced that they will. Like there's nothing that they've shown me that they could beat any team outside of like the three that got promoted this year. I think it'll be a draw, and I think the fans will bitch, but they won't lose, so it'll like kind of just go under the wire.
Nick, does Hoyland scoring in the Champions League give you a bit more hope? I think, at least for me, seeing him get 2 goals gives a glimmer of hope for Brentford that there might be some goals for Manchester United.
Yeah, if you're Man U, you gotta be like, thank fucking Christ for Hoyland, or else, like, what else would I be cheering for on this team, bro? I think it does give him hope, but like, also, like, he gave him hope tonight and they lost. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I, I'm starting to do the thing in my head where, what happened?
We lost your camera.
Oh shit.
All good, continue.
Technical
I'm starting to
difficulties.
do, I'm starting to do the thing in my head where like, where convincing myself, man, you can't possibly lose this game. Like, there's no way they're gonna do it again. Um,
That's what I just
Brentford's
said
a,
about Galatasaray, and then
I
look what
know,
happened.
bro,
Yeah,
same thing. And like, Brentford's
I
not
said
been
they were
good.
due for a win and they did not get it. So
I mean, I guess they're just more due. I don't like. I don't know.
I don't know, man.
Brentford's been
they're past
bad. Let's
due.
let's say it. Like Brentford had a great year last year, but they're playing shit this year. It is what it is. Like you're right, they
Yeah,
lost to fucking Everton. Look at Everton. They're not playing well.
no.
They have one fucking win, 4 draws. And that being said, like you gotta be nervous if you're Man U, right? Like I mean, like there is nothing that tells you that your back line can stop an attack of Mbomo, Wisa, and like Lewis Potter or Shade on the wing. Like that's a lot of pace, something that Man U does not deal with well. Matthias Jensen's a solid player. I don't know, like Brentford's not that great, but like their manager, it's at Old Trafford, which I don't know if it's a good or bad thing for Man U. I feel like their fans are gonna turn on them quickly if anything goes wrong. I don't know, bro. It's a tough one for me to call. I think I like a draw as well here, 1-1. But I mean, we're obviously rooting for Brentford to win, so fingers crossed.
I mean, yeah,
I mean, I
Brentford
think
4-0'd or 4-1'd them early last
Oh my
season,
God,
and
yeah.
how funny would it be if that happened again?
With Ivan Tony, this team. That's
Yes,
why
that's true.
Brentford's not playing well this year because Ivan Tony's suspended and
but
and
the
he's
thing is
he's class.
that these teams are pretty similar in why they're not doing too hot is if you look at the goals for Brentford there, they have 10 goals, which compared to a lot of the teams around them is a
Pretty
lot.
good.
You look at all the teams around them, it's 8, 6, 5, 8, 7, 7. They have a lot of goals in them, but it's similar to Manchester United. They leak goals as well. Manchester United has allowed 11. They have a -4 goal differential because their defense cannot hold up. They make those mental errors like we saw versus Galatasaray. And Brentford, a team that, yes, they don't look that good, but they can score, I think is scary for Manchester United, who's had trouble putting it in the back of the net and had trouble keeping it out of the back of their net. So I think
That's a
Manchester United
recipe for
has to be
disaster.
really locked in on this one.
They can't score and they get scored on a lot. Well, that fucking sucks.
That's a bad
They're
combo.
just very bad combo, and Onana is not helping any type of
Oh
defensive
God.
mistakes because he continues to make even more of them.
Not
But
helping. He's part of the
Nico,
problem, bro.
he's
He
part
is.
of the problem, and the club that is just a problem in general, Chelsea, got a win. Got a win 2-0 versus Fulham. Mudryk has scored a goal. Good for him, honestly. Now they move to Burnley, who also just got a win versus Luton. So, a little bit of an asterisk. But as we learned, they are actually a pretty good team. They can beat some really good teams like Everton. So, can Chelsea keep it going here versus a Burnley team? Mike?
Yeah, I think so. I think Poch has finally found somewhat of a decent lineup. Dropping Nicholas Jackson and starting Broha up top is a good move. I don't really know much about Broha. I saw him play a little bit last season, but he doesn't have like a whole lot of games to go off of. But nice goal from him. And they seem to be working the ball a little bit better than I had seen previously. Mudryk finally scored. It was a decent goal at that. Still not convinced he's going to be a much of a threat to score goals or provide assists. He looks just so panicked, frantic up top. He flails his body, he flails his arms. His touches don't look clean. Um, I still don't really think he belongs in the starting lineup. But that being said, I think they have enough to beat Burnley.
Nick, do you feel the same way?
Yeah, that's my lock. Taking Chelsea over Burnley, which kind of tells me the week is as far as score lines and fixtures. But um, I've decided to pick against the promoted three teams until I get proven otherwise or they play Everton. So I don't like
Come
Burnley.
on, man.
I mean they got to win against Luton. Congrats, I guess you're out of the relegation zone. But Chelsea's at the moment based on form, they're a mid-table club. Even like as bad as they've been, like haven't really got embarrassing games. They haven't gotten results, but like the only embarrassing part has been really their finishing from Mudryk and Jackson. So, um, you know, they're a mid-table squad that cost $1 billion, which is a whole other thing. But I do think a mid-table squad's good enough to beat Burnley this weekend.
Absolutely. And with a win, 3 points here would get them towards the top of the top half of the table, not top of the table. Been a slip of a tongue, but would get them back somewhat in the conversation. Liverpool, or not Liverpool, Newcastle and West Ham have a close game. They could be 1 point behind Newcastle. They could be 2 points behind West Ham, depending on how that goes. So they would still be back in that conversation and back probably where they want to be. Spurs have the other promoted team, Luton, and I would imagine after games versus Liverpool and Arsenal, it is a breath of fresh air to play a team like Luton here. Any hope for Luton, Nick?
Yeah, I like Luton this week. I like
It,
I
Yeah,
like
it's luck,
Luton.
yeah.
Give me a draw. I don't know. I'm getting the vibes. I kind of honestly yesterday I kind of got the vibes. This might be a game for Arsenal that we struggle with today. I'm getting vibes that Spurs might struggle a little bit with Luton. That's what I'm convincing myself, and that's what I'm going with. We'll say 2-2.
All right.
Yeah,
Mike,
I mean, Luton's they got some fighters on there, and they have love of the fans. They have some positive things
here.
about the club, but
It's at Luton.
all those positive things you add them together, and is it enough to beat Tottenham? No, it's not. I don't even think it's enough to really play Tottenham. I think this is one of the games where screaming stop the count because Tottenham's going to put them on and they're going to keep on going until the final whistle. So I think it's a lot to a little or a lot to none. Give me 3 or 4 or 5-0 Tottenham.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I'm
It's
going
going to be brutal.
4-0 the Spurs here. I think they've shown that they have the finishing touch, and versus a Luton team that has shown that they don't have much of a touch. If the first thing Mike is saying about a team is they got fight, that's not very hopeful. That's not a very hopeful thing. It's like saying, "Oh, well,
Listen, bro.
he has some great energy. He's really good at running around. Great work rate."
Man U
You know
doesn't
they're
even have
probably not
fight
that
in
great.
them, so like,
Man U has no fight.
yeah. So at least they have
Yeah,
something.
they do.
I
They
will
do have
say,
something.
I am happy, or not happy. Sorry, I do think Tottenham have found something. Last game they started with Charleston wide and then Son down the middle. I think Big Ang just found that Richarlison should not be your main finisher, and that Son definitely should be. I think it's a little counterintuitive, but I think without Harry Kane there, you try to feature Son as much as you can. And I do like him down the middle more. And Richarlison out wide, not as many opportunities to embarrass himself, so a little bit better.
Yeah, got an assist last week, and he can just be a shithouser, which is his best quality.
Yeah, and he like drives at defenders, so. But
He's resilient. He's meant to drive at defenders. People who are not meant to drive at defenders are people who play at Everton Football Club. But we do have Jack Harrison, who may change that for Everton.
The fuck?
Everton versus Bournemouth. Kind of a matchup of two teams that are struggling a bit right now. Really need a result, really need points. Mike, can the Toffees pull one out versus Bournemouth, a team that's struggling themselves?
Yeah, I don't even know anymore, man. I was so hopeful, and then we lost to Luton. So, um, I'd like to think so. Bournemouth hasn't won a game this year, and if for their first win, that would really suck. If Bournemouth had Tyler Adams, which thankfully they don't,
Wow.
and it also sucks that they don't for some reasons there. But if they had Tyler Adams, I think it'd be a difference maker. Um, with that being said, they don't have him. I like our midfield to kind of pick them apart a little bit. And I think after how embarrassing the Luton loss was, we come back with a little bit better game plan and we get a result. I'll take a scrappy 1-0 win for Everton.
I like it. Nick, do you have faith in us?
No. I don't. I do not have faith. Here's the thing. Brighton's losses this year, they haven't won a game, but all of their losses have come, I believe it's Arsenal, Liverpool, and Brighton have been their 3 losses so far this year. They've tied teams like West Ham. They've tied Brentford, who I know hasn't been great. They've tied Chelsea. So they got a couple wins in the cups. I think they've won 2 wins in the cups. And I've said it, dude. I like how they play. I like they got 4-0 by Arsenal, but I actually thought they played pretty decent. The scoreline didn't do them justice, even though Arsenal played well. I think again, I said it a little bit earlier, but this week we're gonna figure out who teams are. Um, I am hoping that Everton makes this a good game, because I do think that Bournemouth is gonna play well. So. If Everton win, we talked about it a couple weeks ago, Everton not having to sweat too much of a relegation race, even though they just lost to Luton. But if they do pull out this win, I feel more confident about where this Everton team is going. I'm expecting Bournemouth to get the result, if I'm being honest. 2-1.
Damn.
Sorry, boys.
Damn.
All right.
Sorry,
Damn.
boys.
Well,
That's not crazy to say. I mean, I hope you're wrong, but it's not crazy to say. Bournemouth does play
yeah.
prettier attacking football from the results I've seen this year.
Don't think there's many teams that play less pretty attacking football.
Luton,
But
hey,
I do have some hope with Jack Harrison. I think Jack Harrison last year for Leeds was pretty decent at creating chances. But then again, for Leeds, nobody could finish them off. Patrick Bamford was pretty woeful. I don't know if Everton has a striker that will be much different than that. Hopefully, Beto can find some form. Danjuma can do something. Calvert-Lewin can do something.
Two games
There
in a
are
row
people
for
that could potentially do
Portland.
things, but we need them to do things, and they have not so far. Hopefully, Everton pulls it out, but the team right above them probably won't be getting points this weekend either. So, at least we're coping already. But Wolves versus Aston Villa, I'm pretty confident that Aston Villa pulls away with the win here. But Wolves did just upset Manchester City. What are our thoughts on Unai Emery's boys playing Wolves? Nick, I'll start with you as a gunner.
This might be strange, but again, this is another one. I think this is going to tell us a lot about who Villa is because they just dog walked Brighton. I think if they come out and get a convincing result here, like business 2-3-1 maybe something like that, 2-0. Um, I think it tells us okay, they're for real. Like their poor results this year are a little bit more outliers. But I mean, this Wolves team isn't good, but they're gonna be, I think, somewhere around the mid-table. If they're fighting for relegation, I don't think it's like a real fight. They're just down on the table because there's a lot of quality in the Prem right now. And I mean, they just fucking beat
I do
City.
think they're in
So
the real fight.
what's that?
I think they are in the fight for relegation, pretty realistically.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still pretty unconvinced about all these promoted teams. I think there's not really gonna be that much of a fight for relegation this year. I think they'll be towards the bottom of the table. But they have good players. Neto's on fire. As Pep likes to call them, the Korean guys on fire. We've seen some good things from them. Their defense hasn't looked horrible. Um, so I could see this being a draw, kind of a letdown for Villa. But obviously they're the better side, and I think if they get a convincing result here, playing some good football, my confidence that Villa isn't just a roller coaster for the whole year is going to grow a lot more.
Yeah.
Mike,
The one thing I don't expect about this game is a draw. Villa doesn't draw games, man. They go out there and they put it all on the field, whether that's scoring a lot of goals or conceding a lot of goals. So I don't think Wolves is good enough to put a couple up on Villa. I think Villa is good enough to put a couple up on Wolves, especially with how on fire Ali Watkins is right now. Moussa Diaby also playing really well. Not a lot of goals recently, but that could change this weekend. I think a comfortable win for Aston Villa around a 2 or 3 goal margin.
yep, I'm in that same boat. And moving to two teams that are also in the same boat. Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest, pretty evenly matched game here. Fight for kind of top of the bottom half and bottom of the top half of the table. I think Crystal Palace has the edge for me here, but what are you guys thinking here? I know Nottingham has been making some moves.
Yeah, I
This
like.
seems like a draw.
I'll give the edge to Palace as well. Home game for them. Selhurst Park, a hard place to play. But you're right; these feel like the same teams.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like Elise and Taiwo to cancel each other out. Give me a 1-1.
Is Elise hurt?
1-1.
Might be hurt.
I thought I saw him playing the other day. You could be right. Don't quote me on
I
that.
don't know.
He's going to come back from injury, is what he's predicting, and score a goal if he is injured. You heard it
Yeah.
here first, inside scoop on their injury report. And
Exclusives.
another game that maybe won't be too exciting in terms of high quality attacking football, but I think is a very important game for a certain Fulham football club is Fulham versus Sheffield. This feels like a result that Fulham, after kind of slipping in form recently, really needs to use as kind of a backstand to get their season back in forward motion again. Do you think Fulham does it, or do they continue a slide and maybe get a draw or even a loss here to lowly Sheffield?
I expect them to win. This is my pick of the week, which we'll get to in a bit. But kind of a stinky start against Chelsea. They came out a little flat-footed. Tim Ream with a uncharacteristic error at the back with a lackadaisical pass, and then got caught with a last-ditch tackle that just kind of played it into Broja's foot for the goal. Unfortunate, but they really didn't get outclassed by Chelsea. Chelsea won 2-0, but most of that game is pretty evenly played. Fulham's struggles this year have really just been scoring goals. They can't score. Raul Jimenez is not who he used to be. Never the most prolific striker. Willian is past his prime. Vinicius is kind of their bright spark in that attack. So I expect him to win, but it won't be like a blowout by any means.
Nick,
Yeah,
hope for Fulham fans.
I don't know about hope, but I do think they'll get the result this weekend. Let's pick against this promoted team. 1-0. I like Harry Wilson to curl one in. Yeah, honestly, Fulham has not looked great. They're reminding me of Brentford a little bit, like great year last year, and have not started well this year. But you are playing Sheffield, so I'll say Fulham 1-0.
I like it. I'll pick Fulham as well. Our boy Jedi Robinson with a hat trick. That's what I'm predicting from left back. All screamers from outside the box. Roberto Carlo-esque, as he is destined to become. But speaking of Jedi Robinson, we get now into our U.S. men's national team corner. Don't have that much to update on, but I will say that Pulisic and Musa are set to start versus Dortmund. Hopefully, we can see a little Gio Reyna in that. We have Tillman and Dest who played today versus Sevilla. PSV were absolutely dominant in that game, but it goes to a 2-2 draw, shows the quality of Sevilla on the few chances they had. They were very clinical, and PSV had to fight for that draw despite having so many shots. And Tillman had a pretty good performance getting that penalty to even it up. Aronson had a cameo for Union Berlin, lost to Braga. He has not been able to cement a spot really in that team or had a good run of form. So sad to see that from Aronson. And if that didn't make you sad enough, Tyler Adams is out, and the rumor is that he will be going back to the United States to have another surgery and will be out for expected 3 months.
Oh my god.
So
Jesus.
Tyler Adams to a team that we already talked about, Bournemouth, that desperately needs as much help as they can get. And speaking again about Leeds, he was a huge part of why Leeds was able to stick in that 14th to 16th area last year. The second he got hurt, it was a different team. I think Bournemouth is going to be severely missing Tyler Adams in their fight against relegation here. But hey, Pulisic and Musa are starting versus Dortmund. We'll go back to some positive news before we end, and the U.S. men's national team corner. And we'll get into some locks of the week. Producer P, can we get a score update on where all the boys are sitting at?
Small addition. Pepe also featured off the bench today for PSV. Small cameo. And Malik Tillman did play well, but he did get dunked on by Sergio Ramos on that corner kick for the first goal.
Also wasted a chance that Lang set up for him like on a plate. So he won the penalty. But,
I see for the performance.
Noah Lang's a baller, by the way. That dude was good.
Noah Lang's crazy good.
He is very
saucy.
Him
All
and
right.
Best on that side are saucy.
Mm-hmm.
So for our scores here, as you can see, Nico and Flags, you are both tied at 1 point apiece.
Yeah.
Whereas Mike making himself a early lead in this competition, coming up with a 3 points after getting the West Ham Sheffield scoreline correct last weekend.
Yeah, Mike sucks dick at gambling too, so this is crazy.
I know. This is honestly, man should buy a lot of
This
tickets.
was the one thing I would not expect from this competition is Mike Tracy.
I am on par for being terrible at gambling, so I feel as if I'm doing myself justice here.
Yep.
But this week, I'm going with something
not a
I
sports bettor.
truly feel confident in. I am going with Spurs 4-0 versus Luton. I'm picking against Luton again, and god damn it if they beat me, I will be wildly upset. So Spurs 4-0 is my pick versus Luton. Mike, looks like you're also betting against the same team. What is your choice here?
I am betting against Sheffield. When a team's down, they're down. They say don't kick them when they're down. Well, I'm kicking them anyway, and I'm kicking them with my studs on. Fulham is going to beat them. Am I super confident in Fulham? No. Do I have any reason to be confident in Fulham? No. But they're better than Sheffield. And I'll take them to win 2-1. Originally, was thinking 3-1, and then I realized Fulham's only scored 5 goals in the Prem this year. So that seems like a tall task for them to score 3 in a game, even against Sheffield. We'll say 2-1.
Watch them get an 8-0. Nick, you decide to continue the
Anything
trend
could
of
happen.
choosing the same 3 shitty teams to pick against. You chose against Burnley this week.
Poor guys.
What's
Yeah.
the
Whoa.
justification behind the
What did I
choice?
just do?
The justification is you had already picked Spurs, so I was looking up and down this fucking
Oh.
fixture list to see what I like. Yeah, Burnley's bad. I think these 3 teams are gonna be the relegated teams. Give me Chelsea 1-0. You know, maybe some fake hope for the people in London.
Chelsea 1-0 versus Burnley. The Blues, they are going to be singing that beautiful, beautiful chant. Chelsea, Chelsea, Chelsea. So creative, those fans.
I like
Oh
the
yeah.
Clarets this week.
I like them. And from creative chants from Chelsea, we go into a creative segment that we all love. It is our one question with our favorite producer P
Bring him in.
here.
Bring him in.
Producer P?
Holy
Take it away.
boys,
What's the
oh
question,
boys.
Louise?
I actually have somewhat of a normal question today. Not as kind of wild and zany as the
No
ones
shame.
of previous. I don't watch a lot of football, but boy oh boy, do I love to shit on fans that deserve it. So, who in the soccer world has the worst fans?
Man U, hands down. Oh my god. Insufferable. They still think they're the same team that won the Champions League and like was rattling off titles under Fergie. They're by far the worst fans. Um, Spurs fans are annoying, but little brother, like, they're just kind of yapping. Little chihuahuas down there.
I
Man
think
U still
Spurs
thinks they're
know
the
their
big
level a
dog.
bit more.
Yeah, exactly. They know their level a little bit. Man U thinks like they're like an elite club when honestly maybe they just had an elite manager. Because ever since Fergie left, that team has been in the shitter.
I think it's either between Man U, like you say, or Chelsea, because the amount of goddamn tweets I see about Chelsea hyping up their god awful squad is just wild. They
Chelsea
love to
fan,
take
Chelsea
every
fan is the
player
king
and
of the
think
like
they're gonna be
of the YouTube like highlight reel. like they'll
yeah.
do like some sick like song, some good edit, but like all the highlights are just like Enzo making a turn, like passing it out wide, like Raheem
Yeah, I saw
Video
a
Sterling running
clip.
it.
clips before the shot.
Yeah,
He is
exactly.
literally prime Xavi in this clip, and it's him turning around and hitting a ball down the wing. And I'm like, brother, you
Yeah,
see that in high school ball? Like,
yeah, bro.
he's a
That's a
good
good
player,
call.
but what are you saying?
There's a few ways I'd answer this question. If we're in England, I gotta go with the Gunners. Sorry, Nick, but you
You're
guys
such
are
a cock. Oh my
so
god.
delusional.
What
Not
are
so
you
much this
talking
year
about?
with a proper team, but
Oh,
What
last
are you
oh
year
my,
though,
talking
with
about?
during the
Arsenal
when as
fan
top
TV
Staples.
is peak
Oh my
memes, dude. Talking crazy, having full on discussions. Um, it's absolute banter. It's hilarious. But outside of England, you got to say the Italian or the Spanish fans. They got a few decades to catch up on for racial equity.
Oh
They don't
Jesus.
so much like their black players in Italy or a few spots in Spain. So that's a good reason to say a bad fan base, I think.
Yep.
That's fair.
I changed
Yeah,
my
I
pick.
went a
I'm
little more
going racist.
lighthearted. Like that's really an angle to go after. Yeah.
Damn.
Yes.
Mike picked the bigots.
The
Over here,
shitheads are the
yeah, the
biggest.
banter on Twitter is so annoying. Mike's like, racism is very bad.
And And racism.
You know?
Let's take a knee at the start of the next
Yes.
pod.
Yep.
Say no. Say no to racism.
All right.
And
Well, thank you,
a lot
boys.
of things coming out of Italy and Spain. But yeah, I think Man U, Chelsea, and racists are usually the worst fans. Those
Amen.
three.
Yeah. I can't
Choose
stand
one
that
of them.
trio. Can't stand them.
For all our fans, this is our new cadence. We have 2 episodes a week coming out now, so we have more content for you. Shorter episodes, so you're not having to listen to it all at once. Boys, any final thoughts to leave our fans with?
Game this weekend. Up the Gunners. Let's go, boys.
Up the Gunners.
Yeah.
I'll
Tune
be
in to
fan.
Champions League tomorrow. Paramount Plus. Not sponsored yet. Working on that. Subscribe to YouTube. Check us out on Spotify, Apple, anywhere you watch your podcast. Give us a follow on
Links in the
Instagram for
description.
bad takes
God.
and bad edits and lots of close-up pictures of our beautiful mugs. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining
Cheers,
us.
boys.
Subscribe, turn on notifications so you see when we're posting. And until next time, boys.
See y'all Sunday. Celebrating Gunners win later.